They say that one of the most touching stories about respect for parents happened in a remote village where a carpenter lived with his wife and their young son. They lived in a small house with an old, frail carpenter's father. But even though he was old, he still possessed a sharp mind. The young carpenter didn't treat his father kindly. In fact, he treated him quite poorly. He would serve him food in a dirty clay bowl, and the food was barely enough to satisfy the poor old man's hunger. And not only that, but he would also scold him and use harsh words towards the poor old man. But the old man never responded. He just endured everything silently, hoping for better days. The carpenter's young son, however, couldn't stand to see his grandfather being treated so badly. He loved his grandfather and treated him with respect. He was always sad about how his father treated his grandfather. One day, the family was eating lunch when the old man accidentally dropped the bowl and it shattered into pieces. The carpenter got really angry and started yelling at his father, pouring out a torrent of hurtful insults at the poor old man. Once again, the old man stayed silent. He was already used to his son's behavior and knew that arguing wouldn't help. The grandson couldn't believe what was happening. He was deeply saddened by the cruel way his father treated his poor grandfather. He wanted to stand up for his grandfather, but he was too young and couldn't do anything against his father. The next day, the carpenter went to his workshop to start his day. To his surprise, he found his young son there, working on something with wood. "What are you making, son?" the father asked. "I'm making a wooden bowl for food," the boy replied. "A wooden bowl? For whom?" asked the father. "For you, Daddy. When you grow old like Grandpa, you'll need a special bowl for your meals. Clay bowls break easily, and I might end up scolding you harshly too. So I thought I'd make you a wooden bowl that won't break," the boy said. After hearing these words, the carpenter burst into tears. He finally realized how wrong he had been towards his poor father and the pain he had caused him over the years. He understood that his son was right and that he needed to change his ways. From that day on, the carpenter began treating his father with love and respect. He would massage his old bones and care for him, making sure he spent his remaining days comfortably. The young carpenter had learned an important lesson about respect for elders and the value of family from his son, his simple act of kindness. And every time he looked at the wooden bowl, he was reminded of the love and respect he shared with his father. Once upon a time in a bustling city, there lived a wealthy businessman who was known for his immense wealth and power. However, behind closed doors, he was a cruel and abusive father to his young son. He never showed his son any affection and instead constantly punished him for the smallest of mistakes. The boy grew up yearning for love and attention from his father, but all he received were harsh words and physical punishments. One day, the businessman fell seriously ill, and it became clear that he would not recover unless he underwent a risky surgery in a hospital far away. He had to leave the city immediately, and this meant leaving his son behind in the care of servants. Before leaving, he called his son to his bedside and told him, "If I die, you will inherit a huge fortune, and if I return alive, you must give me your word that you will behave and stop your nonsense." The boy nodded obediently, and the father left. The moment the door closed behind his father, the boy collapsed on the bed and cried. "Will my father ever love me?" he whispered. Just then, a wise old servant approached him and said, "Your father may never show you love, but you can find love in other places." The boy wiped his tears and asked, "How can I find love without my father?" The servant smiled and said, "Love is everywhere, my child. You just need to open your heart to receive it. Go outside, walk around the city, and you will find love waiting for you." The boy did as he was told and went for a walk in the city. As he strolled along, he noticed people laughing, playing, and enjoying themselves. He saw couples holding hands and sharing sweet moments. He watched children playing and making new friends. And for the first time, the boy truly appreciated the beauty of life and the importance of human connection. He realized that love was all around him and that he didn't need his father's approval to be happy. From that day on, the boy started to see the world in a different way. He began appreciating the small things in life and cherishing the relationships he had with others. Although his father never showed him love, the boy learned that love comes in many forms and that it is possible to find happiness even in the absence of a loving family. That concludes our story for today. Please subscribe if you haven't already and leave a comment below with your thoughts about the story. We appreciate your feedback and we look forward to sharing more stories with you in the future. Thank you for tuning in.